Good morning. Happy Saturday. For those of you who have never caught me live before, my name is Jewel, and I am a grateful recovering addict. I will celebrate 9 years clean this year in August. Just going to wait for Joe to get on and invite a couple people. Let's see. As you come in, say hello. Let us know where you're watching from. Get Joe on here.
Man, I want us to come in.
Now, rest from the back. We're waiting for Dad at the gym. I guess I'll do this while nobody's on. We go to the Denton gym here in Denton, Maryland. It's 24 hours, guys. My husband goes all the time. He goes late at night or early in the morning or whatever the case is. Just waiting for Joe. I'm going to read the gist for today when he gets on. Don't understand. There he is. Yay, there you are. Oh, nothing. Do you want to share this out? Look, we both have the same like sunbeam coming in.
Yeah, I'll share it.
It's chilly here, but it's just a beautiful day. I'm excited. I don't think I ever realized that your car had a sunroof until right now. I don't know why. You get it shared out?
I already did.
Okay. I'm gonna do this for today, even though there's nobody on. April 27th, recognizing and releasing resentments. We want to look our past in the face, see it for what it really was, and release it so we can live today. Basic text, page 29. Many of us had trouble identifying our resentments when we were new in recovery. There we sat with our fourth step in front of us, thinking and thinking, finally deciding that we just didn't have any resentments. Perhaps we talked ourselves into believing that we weren't so sick after all. Such unwitting denial of our resentments stems from the conditioning of our addiction. Most of our feelings were buried and buried deep. After some time in recovery, a new sense of understanding develops. Our most deeply buried feelings begin to surface, and those resentments we thought we didn't have suddenly emerge. As we examine these resentments, we may feel tempted to hold on to some of them, especially if we think they're justified. But what we need to remember is that justified resentments are just as burdensome as any other resentment. As our awareness of our liabilities grows, so does our responsibility to let go. We no longer need to hang on to our resentments. We want to rid ourselves of what's undesirable and set ourselves free to recovery. Just for today, when I discover a resentment, I'll see it for what it is and let it go. So,
Want me to go first?
yep.
All right. So, it said something in there about letting go of the past, and I think that was actually part of the punchline.
Yeah.
Facing the past and letting it go. And as far as like resentments are concerned, I feel like the biggest resentment that we hold is the resentment towards ourselves
Yeah.
for fucking our lives up and hurting people that we care about, lowering your self-respect, whether it be begging for money so you can get fucked up, or lying to your family members, or creating conflict so you have an excuse, like we talked about the day before yesterday.
Yeah.
And resentment it's just like that chip on your shoulder. It's just baggage.
Yeah.
It just weighs you down. It takes you off balance from what you're trying to do, and it just creates unnecessary issues is something that you can control as far as, what you let bother you, what you let get to you,
Yeah.
um, that you choose to hold on to. The past is, it serves one purpose only, and that's to learn from it.
Right.
If it's not serving you as far as learning from it, and you're just hanging on to it to fuel your fire, then you're not using it for what it's meant to be used for.
Right.
The past is gone, it's over. Um, there's nothing you can do to change it. It is what it is. It's already came and went.
Yeah.
So, I would say use your time and your energy towards your present and your future, and not worry so much about the past. Um, it's no different than when we reminisce. Um, like it seems like the bad things in our lives, when they're over with, they don't seem as bad because it's over with. We forget how bad it really was, and we tend to highlight the good things that we did while we were using or drinking or whatever the case may be. And you can use to give you a false reality of what your life really was like.
Yeah.
And you don't realize that your best moments are right now and ahead of you.
Yeah.
There's nothing good that's going to come from digging up your past and worrying about over analyzing things that already came and went.
Right.
So as far as far
you.
and as far as your past is concerned, it's fuck it, it's over, it's done. Just worry about today. Use that to teach you, where you went wrong here, where just use it to learn. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like if you took a test and you failed, instead of being all upset that you failed the test, take the test, take your answers that you got wrong, go back to the book, figure out what the answers are, and use those answers for the next time around. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's just how I look at it. We can hang on to the past, and as far as like resentment goes, and our past goes, we all got shit that we can make an excuse about. We all got shit that happened in our lives that we can lean on as a crutch as to why we're getting fucked up. But that's not the reality of it. The reality of it is that you get high or you get fucked up or you get drunk because you want to. And that's all it is. It's all about you and what you're doing. It's not about anybody else or what somebody did to you 5 years ago, 10 years ago, or yesterday.
Yeah.
It's about, your choices and your decisions, and it's just something you want to do. It's something that you're addicted to, and you're letting an addiction, rule your thoughts and your life instead of you taking some taking some responsibility for yourself and your actions, and regaining control of your life. And as long as you're using drugs or you're drinking alcohol, you're not in control like you think you are.
Right.
And things will happen to show you that you're not in control. You might lose your job. You might lose your loved one. You might lose a girlfriend or a boyfriend. You might lose your kids. So if you were in control, none of that shit would be happening. So that's just the way I look at it. You might lose your freedom. That was supposed to be one of my wake up moments, one of my signs, but it didn't click.
There. It didn't fix me either.
So, what fixed me was just wanting more out of life. I just get tired of dumbing myself down and lowering my expectations for who I am and who I can be. And as you get older, you realize, like the clock's ticking. I'll be 30 in about less than a month.
Yeah.
And if I live another 30 years, I want to live another 30 years.
You'll be 30
moving
in
ahead.
2 weeks, right?
Yeah, something like that. But I want to make this next 30 years productive, and I want to enjoy my family normal. I want to enjoy my family, and I want to enjoy the events of life with a level head and normal, the way I'm supposed to take it in, not, half fucked up all the time or, blacked out. Your kids, and you got to think about it. If you got kids, your kids are going to model you, they're going to look up to you, and they're not going to do what you say. They're going to do what you do.
Right.
Um, they're going to watch you and they're going to learn from you. And, you know, you don't want to be the dad or the mom 30 years down the road trying to rebuild a relationship with your child because you spent the whole time fucking up when they were young.
Yeah.
You know, so just think about it like that.
I really like, so the punchline is basically, when I discover resentment, I'll see it for what it is and let it go. And I said earlier, I don't know if anybody heard me because I basically talked under you, but resentments don't serve anybody. Like, for instance, if you have a resentment towards a particular person, so for example, let's say I have a resentment towards Joe because he moved to Texas. It doesn't serve me. It doesn't change anything. Joe's still in Texas. I'm still missing my little lady. You can be upset about a situation, or you can feel however you feel you need to feel. If you're upset, if you're hurt, if you're angry, you're mad, whatever the case is, but holding on to it doesn't change anything. It doesn't serve anything. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve the person or the situation that you're feeling the resentment towards. If anything, for instance, if you're mad at somebody and you're resentful towards them, they're still winning because they're unfazed. And here you are sitting in your house or your car or whatever, pissed off and upset. It literally doesn't serve you any purpose at all. It just holds you down. So
And I feel like a lot of us, you know, as far as the key point, the key detail in that little line is face your past and let it go.
yeah.
Release it so you can live in today. And what a lot of us do is we harbor those feelings and we just hang on to them and keep them. And we think that we're coping with them, but we're not really coping with them. We're just carrying them with us every day. Tomorrow comes and you're still carrying it. The next day comes, you're still carrying it. And it's because you never really faced it and
Process
accepted it and
with it. Yeah.
just moved on from it. And when you're drinking and you're doing drugs, you're not coping or that, a lot of people feel like that's how they cope with life. You know what I mean? Like I thought, you know, getting drunk is, you know, I had a hard day or
yeah.
something from my past came up and this is how I cope because I just blank out. But when you wake up, those problems are still there when you sober up.
Yeah.
They haven't gone nowhere because you didn't really face them. You're just
You just made it
self-medicating.
worse. Yeah.
Yeah, you're just self-medicating and trying to stuff them down deeper. But the deeper you stuff them, the harder they are to get rid of.
Yeah.
So I feel like, you know, you should just accept it for what it is. There's a lot of shit from my past that I could dig up that I could hang on to. But it's just not doing anything for me. It's not doing anything for my daughter. It's not doing anything for the rest of my family.
Yeah.
It's not going to do anything for me either. What I learned from my past was, you know, I don't want my daughter to experience any of those things that I had to experience when I was a kid or in my teens or all throughout my life. I want my daughter to have a real role model. I want my daughter to have a father that she admires. I want my daughter to have a father that she can, you know, if she goes that way, to model her next, you know, her family after and her husband after.
I was just about to say that.
I want to be the example. I don't want to be the mentally abusive, you know, inconsistent. And dad's really great when he's sober, but he's scary when he drinks, and or he doesn't come home for 2 days, or whatever the case may be. Or you know, he passed out somewhere and he didn't come home. And you know, I don't want her to see that, and then that be the type of man that she pursues.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then I'll have nobody. I'll be mad at him, but I'll have nobody to blame but myself because I'm the same person. So I need to make sure that I'm setting that example the right way.
Yeah.
Kids are sponges, and they're gonna, you know,
everything, literally everything.
Yeah, everything you do affects them. You know, in one way or another. Whether it be they see the way you live and they resent you, and then you give them a resentment,
right?
And they resent you, and they might go off and have a good life, and they might never touch drugs or alcohol, but then you don't have the relationship because they hate you because of the things that you did in their childhood. So just try to look at it like that. Try to remember that you're an example, and if you don't have kids, you're a role model for your friends. Odds are, if you were getting fucked up, then your friends are getting fucked up too, and you can be a role model for them if they're really your friends. Um, Instead of worrying about what they perceive as loyalty, worry about being an example for them and show them that, hey, we can get out of this. You
Right.
know, it is a way out, and it's as simple as the decisions that you make and the choices that you make. There is no big secret to getting clean or sober. It's as simple as you just make better decisions each and every day throughout your day.
Right.
Um, you, you work on that stuff. Um, you work on the details of your life, and you work on your thoughts and feelings that that bother you or get to you, and you use that. You use that to improve your life and get better. Um, and that's just the way I look at it as far as that goes. As far as resentments go and your past, all that shit's done and over with.
I'm going to read the gist for today again, just because we have more people on now than we did when I first read it. So for those of you who missed it the first time, today is April 27th, recognizing, releasing resentments, just so they know what we're talking about. We want to look at our past. We want to look our past in the face, see it for what it really was, and release it so we can live today. Basic text, page 29. Many of us had trouble identifying our resentments when we were new in recovery. There we sat with our 4-step in front of us and thinking, finally deciding that we just didn't have any resentments. Perhaps we talked ourselves into believing that we weren't so sick after all. Such unwitting denial of our resentments stems from the conditioning of our addiction. Most of our feelings were buried deep. After some time in recovery, a new sense of understanding develops. Our most deeply buried feelings begin to surface, and those resentments we thought we didn't have suddenly emerge. As we examine these resentments, we may feel tempted to hold on to some of them, especially if we think they are justified. But what we need to remember is that justified resentments are just as burdensome as any other resentment. As our awareness of our liabilities grows, so does our responsibility to let go. We no longer need to hang on to our resentments. We want to rid ourselves of what's undesirable and set ourselves free to recover. Just for today, when I discover a resentment, I'll see it for what it is and let it go. I just thought of another resentment that I have that I've held on to for a really long time. I guess I'll have to let it go after this if I'm going to be public about it. So, for years, ever since I met my dad in 2010, for most of you who don't know, I grew up as an only child with my mother, who did an amazing job of raising me. Her and my grandmother did the best they could do. Don't make those googly eyes at me, Shara. But I've resented her for a long time for the fact that I didn't get to meet my dad. I didn't have him growing up. I get mad about silly things like he didn't teach me to drive, or he didn't get to come to my softball games or any of my volleyball games, or he didn't, like just the regular dad-daughter stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't get to do any of that with him, and I resent her for it a lot of times. Like, I feel like a lot of times when I get mad at her, that's kind of what it stems from. You know what I mean? I don't know what her reasoning was. Maybe it was just easier for her. I don't know. It probably was, because who really wants to share their child with somebody else? Nobody. So there it is. There's my big resentment that I didn't even realize until I read that a second time. And that resentment doesn't serve anybody. It surely doesn't serve me. It doesn't change anything. It's not like we can go back to 1987 and restart. So.
I don't have any resentments.
I don't feel like you're a resentful person. I feel like you let a lot of stuff go. Like, I can think of a situation where you would be justified to be resentful, but I know that you're not. And even though you have every right to be resentful, to me, you go out of your way to still continue that relationship.
I just look at it like, I don't know. As far as that goes, I just don't. I try to be understanding, and you have to understand that whether you resent somebody or not, you're not going to change them. And
Yeah.
you know, having a negative outlook for somebody, um, it doesn't do you any good. As far as I feel, um, it it's giving somebody else control over your life,
Yeah.
and I want to be in control of my life. That's part of the reason why I don't drink anymore. So why would I quit drinking to give other people control and stock in my life and how I feel and how my emotions go? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I only
Absolutely.
got a handful of people that I'm trying to serve, and that's about it. And most of the people that I try to serve are either, you know, they're right here with me, they're on my level, or they're beneath me. They're my, the children in my life. They're not. I'm not worried about grown people and what they're doing,
Right.
or anybody outside of me. Um, I just try to be the bigger person in every situation because it speaks more about my character than their character. If I get all pissy and create a bunch of drama, because I can be a drama person if I want to, but
Mm.
I just don't. I just don't point in it. I don't understand. It doesn't. It just makes me upset and makes me angry and takes me to a different level that I don't want to be.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that person, you know. So I just no, I'm not really a resentful person. I try to see all the good that somebody has done for me. That's part of like learning from your past is I try to see like might be a person that I might have 50-50 feelings for, but if they have a place in my life, then I try to look at the 50% of the good things that they taught me or what little piece I got. I just try to take pieces from people that
Serve you.
can serve me.
Right.
Yeah, instead of taking pieces from people that can just hold me back or hurt me.
Yeah.
And it's not easy sledding, but like I actually I actually was like that before I was had a real problem drinking. I kind of had that moment with myself where I told myself no matter what happens to me, I'm in control. Somehow I'm responsible, and I took the burden of my life and my outcome.
Mhm.
So actually, the only person I've resented um, over the years the most is myself because I pissed off a lot of good opportunities
Mhm.
um, from drinking when I could have, even though I had a troubled past or a rough upbringing here and there. Um, I could have gave myself a fresh start and I could have made the most of it, but instead I pissed it all away because I wanted to drink and you know, go the other way. I decided to go the other way and I lost out on a lot of things because of my choices. I don't blame anybody else for that shit. That's my fault.
Well, it's similar too to like when we've talked before about God and praying and things, and you always say that you don't like pray away your problems. You know what I mean? Like I forget what you had said that you pray for, but you said that you know that you're in control and you're in charge of your own actions. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I heard this thing too, and uh, it said you can't be a champion if you're always playing the victim, and
Ooh.
that's just the way I look at it. If I want to be a champion, I have to rise above all the misfortunes, all the wrong turns, all the detours, all the roadblocks that get put in front of me. That's how you become a fucking champion. You don't become a champion because it's like in sports. You don't become a champion by blaming the referees or you know not showing up because of something that pissed you off or you know what I'm saying. That's not champion behavior. That's not how you become a champion in your life. You
Right.
become a champion in your life by taking accountability for your outcomes and chasing those outcomes yourself. So that's just the way I look at it. You get nothing out of playing the victim. I got a lot of shit in my life that I could play the victim over.
Yeah.
But playing the victim, you're just sitting down crying and being a martyr instead of, being a winner. Instead of getting up and saying, okay, this happened to me and I'm gonna let it push me forward instead of letting it keep me here sitting still. So that's just how I look at it. If you want if you want to be a champion, you got to display championship behavior. And champions don't make excuses. They just make it happen. They just do what they need to do, and they get up off their ass and they make it happen themselves. They make the people around them better. You know, they inspire people around them. They lift people up when they're down, and if they have a moment of weakness, they know the people around them are going to pick them up, you know, and say, hey, we need you. You need to get back on your shit. And that's just the way I look at it. You playing the victim ain't going to get you nowhere. So that's just the way I look at it. And think about it like this. When you go to a meeting, right? You go to a meeting, and sometimes when you go to a meeting, you know, you'll see somebody tell their past story, right? They'll get up there and they'll talk about all the people they robbed and all the drugs they sold and all the stores they broke into and stole from, and you know, all the people they used and abused, and they'll talk about their childhood and how their daddy was a drunk and their mama was a drug addict and blah blah blah, on and on and on. And it's like they became alcoholics and drug addicts as a result of that, and that's what they're saying. But I know people in real life that had all them same exact, you know, that same exact lineup and scenario,
Right.
but they chose to go a different way. So you can't blame it on your past and what happened in your past as to why you're not successful or as to why you decided to use drugs and drink alcohol, because there are people just like you that went through all the same shit, if not worse, and they chose to go a different way. They chose to rise above it,
Right.
you know, but we chose to fall victim to it. And as a result, we're here. So this all ties in. So digging up your past isn't validation. It's just your rationale as to why you did things. It's your excuses is all it boils down to is your excuses. It's not a good reason. There's never a good reason to ruin your life or throw your life away or let your poor behavior rub off on everybody that's around you and impact all the good people in your life. You know, your grandmother and your children and your loved ones, they don't deserve it. You don't deserve it. So why continue to display that type of behavior and do those same things? And that's just the way I look at it. I look at it like anything is a valid excuse. So we can always come up with a good excuse as to why we're doing something we shouldn't, or as to why we're not doing something we should.
Right.
So that's just how I look at it.
Very good. I never thought about it. You know, this is why I always like doing these with you, Joe, because you say things that I haven't thought of. You know what I mean? Because you made the comment about, you know, playing sport. And a lot of times we would get like pissed off, you know, if our referee was making bad calls or, you know, but when you think about it and you look back at the situation, like that was just us making an excuse for why we didn't do better. You know what I mean? That was an easy out. It's easy to make excuses. It's easy to play the victim. It's easy to do all of those things. What's hard is rising above it all. So, all right. Voice done. Sorry, Russell.
All right.
Russell, you say hi to Uncle Joe?
What's up, Russell? What's up, man?
Joe?
Somebody's tired.
Yeah, he got up at like 7:45. He's never up that early. So, all right, Joe, do you want to do your shameless plugs?
Oh yeah. So we got t-shirts.
Yes.
It says Breaking the Chains on the front, and it's in memory of my mom on the back. You can put whoever you want on the back. If you want to change the name, that's fine.
Yeah.
If you don't want the name at all and you just want the Breaking the Chains, you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
You can contact Jewel for the order. Also, there's another event coming up in August.
In Chestertown, Maryland, on the 3rd, August 3rd.
Yep, at the Firehouse. August 3rd.
Yeah. And I'll put all that in the comments when we're done. I have the link to the event. It's in the description of this video, along with our pages, Breaking the Change, March into Recovery, and Midshore Restoring Hope in Women. Midshore Restoring Hope in Women is a nonprofit that I'm working with this year. And what we do is we raise money for local women in recovery to help them get into a recovery housing. So we pay like their entry fee and their first week. So they also, you can like all the pages. Again, I'll put in the comments when we're finished information about the t-shirts. The t-shirts start at $20. They go from small to 4X. Obviously, if you get XXL to 4X, they're $2 more. They also come in women's cut. If you want a women's cut, they're $22. If you want to change the name on the back, they're $25. All of the profit money from the t-shirts are going to Midshore Restoring Hope in Women. So, all right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you have an awesome day. We're going to go live again tomorrow or Monday?
Monday.
Okay, so we'll see you Monday. Don't forget, you can send us a friend request. You can also click to get notified when we go live, so that way you don't miss any videos. Also, you can join our Breaking the Chains community group. We share all the videos in there. We also have a YouTube channel. You can look up that as well. And Joe and I did the steps. We did steps 1 through 12 back in December. So I shared our step 1 video the other day. So I'm going to just randomly share the other ones so you guys can see them. And then in September, we're going to redo the steps for Recovery Awareness Month. So thank you all for listening. Have an awesome day, and we will see you Monday.
Yeah, and if you guys, like she said, if you guys need some help or if you need somebody to talk to, like she said, feel free to send us friend requests. Feel free to reach out to us at any time. We will always respond and get back to you.
Yep. All right, guys.
All right.
See ya.